Alright, hi guys. So today's objective is to talk about how we expand decimals. And when you expand decimals, when you focus on the value of each of the place value spots and you express those values by showing an addition problem. So we expand out each of the place value spots in order to show our understanding of the number. And so again, we're going to take a look at our place value chart. We have our tens and ones representing our whole number. And then we've got our decimal numbers, tenths, hundredths, and thousands, okay? And so we're first going to start with 53 and 453 thousandths, okay? Now there's actually three ways to show expanded notation with decimals. And so we're going to talk about each one of these today and model each one of those so that you have an understanding and you remember which the three different ways that you can show expanded notation with decimals. Okay, so the first one that we want to do is we talk about each of the place value spots using a decimal. Okay, so first of all, we look at the value of the 5. I know that the value of 5 is worth 50. And then I want to add on the value of the 3. So that's just our whole number still with our value of 3. Now, the value of this 4 here, this is worth 4 tenths, this number 4 here. And so I show 4 tenths with a decimal. Now this value of this 5 is actually worth 5 hundredths. And so the way that I show this decimal is I show 5 hundredths, so with a 0 entered there. Okay, so 0.05. And then I need to show the value of that 3, that final 3, which is 3 thousandths, so that would be 0.003. Okay, so that's the first way that I can show this. Now the second way that I would show this involves fractions, because remember, tenths, we can express tenths with 1/10 this way. I can express hundredths as this way. And I can express thousandths as this with a fraction. So now we're also going to show, excuse me, we're also going to show method 2 with fractions as well. So again, I'm going to show my whole number. So this time I have 50. The value of the 3 is still a 3. Okay, but now instead of showing these numbers as decimals, I can express them as fractions. So since this is 4 tenths, I can show it as 4 tenths. Since this is 5 hundredths, I can show it as 5 hundredths. And since this is 3 thousandths, I can show it as 3 thousandths. Okay? So now I'm expressing them as a decimal. So again, here I have 4 tenths and 4 tenths, 5 hundredths and 5 hundredths, and then 3 thousandths and then 3 thousandths again. Okay? Now for the last method, I'm using a little bit of combination of fractions multiplied using some multiplication, and we'll use some parentheses to show the order of groupings for order of operations. Okay? Now the last way I show this is, again, I'm starting with my whole number. So I don't need to change anything here. 50 plus 3. But now I can show this 4 tenths as 1/10 times 4. I can show it that way. Now the 5, I can show this as 100th 5 times. And then I can show this 3 as 1,000th times 3. Okay, so those are three different ways that I can show my expanded notation with my decimals. Okay, especially with the decimals. Okay, technically I can take my whole numbers and I can express them as, you know, the 3 as 3 times 1 and the 5 as 5 times 10. But I really want to focus in on the decimals here and how we can show that expression. Okay, so now let's take a look at another one for practice. Okay, I have an entirely new number again. This one is 143 and 326 thousandths. Okay, so again, with method 1, remember that's where I'm using the decimals, and so I'm going to express them only with decimals. So first I'm going to start with my whole number. The value of this 1, it's worth 100. The value of this 4 is worth 40. The value of this 3 is just worth 3. Now I want to do the value of this 3 here, and I know that it's just worth 3 tenths because it's in the tenths place value spot. So the value of this 3 is just worth 3 tenths. the value of this 2, it's in the hundredth spot, so it's worth just 2/100ths, but I show that with 0.02. And then the value of this 6, it's worth 6/1000ths, and so I want to show that as such. Okay, so that's my first way to show that. Now the second way, pardon me, the second way I want to show my decimal point is my decimal number is with fractions. So here again, I'm going to start with my whole numbers. The value of the 1 is worth 100, the value of the 4 is worth 40, and then the value of 3 is worth 3. Now this is 3/10ths, so remember I show that as a fraction like this. This is 2/100ths, so again as a fraction I show it that way. And then this is 6/1000ths, so I show 6/1000ths that way. Okay, and then lastly for method number 3, if you remember from the problem before, this is when I take the fractions and I multiply them with a whole number. Okay, so first of all I have again my whole numbers, 100 plus 40 plus 3. But now I'm ready to take my decimal, since that's what we're focusing in on. We're taking the decimal now and we're focusing in on the value of each one multiplied with a fraction. So since this is in the 10ths place value spot, there are 3 of them. 3 groups of a 10th would be 3/10ths. Okay, now I'm moving on to my 100th spot. So if I have a 100th and I have 2 of them, 2 groups of 100 would be 2/100ths. And then I want to add that to my final number here, which is in the thousandths place. So that would be 1,000th. 6 groups of them would be 6/1000ths. Okay, so those are my 3 main ways that I can show expanded notation with decimals. And so there's going to be some times that it's important, there's going to be times when we have to show them different ways, and it's important that we have an understanding of what each one of these decimals mean, and especially when I'm thinking about them not only as decimals here, but when I think about them as fractions and putting them together as fractions here with my addition signs, but then also when I show my understanding of them as a fraction multiplied with a whole number. Okay, and this is just simply multiplication of fractions like we saw in our fractions unit. So a problem like this is nothing more than 1/10 times our whole number, which is 3/1. And remember, when we multiply numbers, we multiply across, and that is 3/10ths, which is what this digit is here, which is what that decimal represents in my main number. Okay? So that's basically the 3 main ways that we show decimals when they are being expanded, and we talk about the value of each one of those digits. Okay? If you have questions, please ask. Catch you later. Bye.